10.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Just Put Paint On Whatever the Hell You Want with me, Skari, your grateful host, wonderful co-hosts, and even more amazing guests. This is your every Thursday and Friday show, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we sit down with a variety of awesome people from all around the tabletop wargaming hobby, and we chat and we paint. And or hobby, and or not do anything. Sometimes as songs, sometimes as chats, sometimes we get philosophical. It's really a smorgasbord of things. Other than that, I'm Skari, your grateful host. Today I'm working on basing a Black Templar Hellblasters, because they're going to raise a little hell when I'm finished with them. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm very, very excited about it. I went for the Assault Hellblaster variety for the game Warhammer 40,000, for anybody who doesn't know. It's a tabletop miniatures game. Where Black Templars are the bestest and purest of all of the factions. And everybody else is a filthy heretic. Okay, so introducing our wonderful co-host for the day, Tanya Gates. Tanya, hello. Why don't you tell people who you are, where you're from, and where people can find you?
I'm Tanya. I'm from Canada, and it's really early, and I make content. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Forge the Narrative podcast. It's like my 3 main homes.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
What are you working on today?
Still Noblars, because I did very, very little on yesterday's stream. So
we talked a lot.
Yeah, we talked a lot. So I'm gonna try and at least get one Noblar done this layer on one Noblar in 90 minutes.
I think it's possible. Leave your votes down below. Will Tanya finish the Noblar? I think it is possible.
No, just the one layer.
The one layer on the Noblar, not even the whole Noblar. I see how it is. And introducing our wonderful guest for today, all the way from the Vanguard Tactics team, Jake. Hey, Jake, how's it going?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for asking. Hope all's well. I have a little bicycle I'm trying to build, but currently none of the wheels match this bicycle, so I need to go find more wheels to find if it will fit on this bicycle or not.
Very cool. And that is for the wonderful, very loyal citizens of the four-armed, union of mine workers, right? They're very loyal, and they work very hard, and they know what they're doing. So
they're a great bunch. They're a great bunch.
Very hardworking, dedicated. I feel like they're the outstanding imperial citizens that everybody should aspire to be.
I agree. Nothing ever goes wrong with them. Nothing ever goes wrong.
Exactly.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here.
Fine imperial citizens.
Along. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's awesome. Hello, Dr. Rhino. What's going on? Epic Mediocrity says, "Arr." Hello, how are you? Alistair of Everett, good day to you. Thank you very much for coming to hang out with us today. We're going to be chatting, but let's kick off the day with everybody can go around in a circle and tell me why I'm awesome.
I did that yesterday, though. So
boo. Come on, can we
you met your quota.
Well, okay. Ego satisfied since yesterday. Let's
like
move
another
on.
day in the office then for me. Gets in. Steve's there. Oh, tell me why I'm great. Oh yeah, hello mate.
I love it. It's great minds think alike, and fools rarely differ. It's exactly how that works. Leo Mancini says model employees who just happen to be bald. To all be bald. Exactly. They just happen to all have no hair. And maybe, the ridges on their head, which generationally just means they've been working in the mines, right? Like, it's definitely like a birth defect from working in the mines. 100%. Their furrowed brows. That like.
It's the
You know
link.
what? It would
The
be
link
really
between them.
cool to see like a squad of Gene Stealer cult people that just have toques on. Oh, which would also be called a beanie. Or,
No, they have
probably.
there's a head with a beanie
Oh.
on it, isn't there? Like one of the kits has a beanie.
I
They
don't
could
know.
give them all wigs. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, like Imperial Court wigs, like really
Yeah.
big curly ones.
So they're all like, we are all normal. We have seen this on many of media.
Uh,
I feel like that's exactly how it would go. But it's funny because, by the way, for anybody who doesn't get the reference, we're talking about the Gene Stealer cult here. And Gene
Yeah.
Stealer cult, like in the Warhammer 40,000 lore, is essentially an alien that lands on a planet called a Gene Stealer. And then he turns into like a patriarch and essentially infects the human population with like a genome virus or whatever that essentially makes them loyal to it, right? And yeah, it makes them loyal to the patriarch. And this cult sort of like, grows over many, many centuries and over generations and generations, where like each like new generation is like they're like mutated and stuff like that, and they get kind of more alien or less alien. Sorry, like less alien the more generations that kind of like get shown off. Or get bred, if that's like, I guess it's very morbid, but I mean, they.
There was a really cute dog on the screen, so I sort of just like zoned out for a bit, and then all I hear is it's very morbid. I'm like, oh, this is taking a turn.
I actually think Gene Stealer cult are like the most horrifying faction in all of 40k, and that's saying something because like Dark Eldar exist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
but
and
go ahead.
Me and Nicole were talking about it yesterday on Wednesday, and she was like, "Oh, I'm back in the Death." Like when we did our stream game, and she was like, "Oh, I'm back in the Death Guard because I think the GCs are really like scary and they're just not very nice." I'm like, "Not very not what compared to these people? Compared to the Death Guard, they're not very nice, are they?" I think they're lovely. I think they're all just misunderstood. They just want to ride their bicycles and mine, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to do anything else.
Just quietly, they just want to be left to their own devices.
Yeah, until it's time, right? And then like the
To be eaten.
The trigger word like happens, and then they rise up against the planet. But essentially, it's like an organism of the Tyranid Hive fleets. It's sort of like an organism where they kind of like infiltrate planets to weaken the planet and get it ready for planetary domination and consumption, right? So like Gene Stealer cults are essentially like a tool, and they like infiltrate and infect, and it's like a virus that kind of eats the planet alive, and then all of these they kind of try and get involved in politics and like they're model citizens and stuff, but then they sort of infiltrate every aspect of society and then sort of like have an uprising and either like make the planetary defenses terrible or like just mess up all the like the military installations, or there's a whole bunch of stuff. But this is over like hundreds of years in the making, and then the Tyranids show up, and then it's just then the whole planet gets consumed. And I always find it ironic, like the Greek tragedy of being a Gene Stealer cultist, because they're all like fiercely loyal to what's called the hive mind, which is like this overarching like hive mind. But then as soon as the Tyranids show up, the link to the hive mind is severed. And
it's all very sad.
They become very conscious of how messed up they're gonna get. And it's like all of this like, like, oh, we're the perfect, we're going to the stars, we're gonna meet our creators or whatever, to being like, oh no, what have we done?
When you put it like that,
it's so poetic.
It's horrifying.
It is.
I still love them, but it's very. I didn't know that actually. I'm not like the biggest lore buff in 40k, and the heresy I know quite a bit. just because I always found them really interesting, the heresy books.
Yeah.
So I never delved into the 40k lore, but now I know that, and it's made me feel for my guys and gals in this lovely cult. It's okay. They won't be hurt. In my cult, they don't get hurt. When the aliens come, they're just like, it's okay, everyone. Can we just talk this out?
They just fist bump each other and say, "Hey, can we just get shipped to another one?" No. Oh.
Yeah, they just keep bouncing between them. I like that. That's my one now.
The benevolent hive mind.
Yeah.
I doubt that would happen. Okay, sorry to be devil's advocate, but the Tyranids don't care.
But I could ask really nicely, though. Really nicely, be like, please.
Please don't consume us. Please,
don't.
Please.
Please.
There'll be there's one pure strain gene stealer, okay? Just one that survives and moves on to the next planet in any of the evacuation ships. And then that next planet gets infected.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally how that works.
So, I read the Word Bearers Omnibus, which, in general is really bad. But in one of the stories, there's surprise Tyranids. And, the entire time, you're like, bruh, do you not know that is a gene stealer cult person? Bruh.
And they don't understand
it. Look at it. Look at how weird this child is. Look. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it was really creepy.
Look at him. He's not normal. You need to evaluate it. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's really cold. Don't give him your rations. It's fine.
He doesn't just want the rations.
Don't feed it after midnight, like Gremlin style or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie, The Killer Tomatoes or whatever it's called? Man, what the heck is the name of that movie?
I haven't seen
Killer Tomatoes.
I've heard of it.
That was like a 80s bad. It was a bad 80s or 70s movie, wasn't it? Like 80s, I think. I remember watching it on television.
Is it as bad as Earth Girls Are Easy? Because that's a terrible movie. Jeff Goldblum should be ashamed.
Don't even know if that movie existed. I'm not a big cinemaphile. I recently just watched Spider-Man No Way Home, which was really good. I really liked that movie.
It was amazing.
It was fantastic. I can't wait for all the other movies they're making. But yeah, other than that, best Gene Stealer Cult moment, says Hoflax, is their appearance in The Infinite and the Divine.
I've heard that book is amazing. I might have to buy it.
Is that like a Horus Heresy series one, or is that like a 40K series one?
It's like a 40K series. It's Necrons.
Interesting.
About Orican the Diviner and Tracing the Infinite.
Oh, and they're fighting each other for the universe or whatever.
Or they're equally super best friends. I'm not too sure, but I've also been recommended this book and I was told it was extremely good.
Yeah, I've heard it's super funny and it's amazing, and I will read it at some point, so no spoilers. But yeah, I heard there's like a frenemy bromance in it, so
those are like the best frenemy bromances.
Yeah. That's what we got going on there, don't we, Skari?
Frenemy, as long as I keep the dad jokes and puns to a maximum.
Then you're definitely a frenemy.
There you go.
And equally, that is fair.
Exactly right. It's the only thing I know. Simon Conti says, Jake, the nicest guy in 40K.
Accurate.
Nice.
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah.
So now we need to make you a little, like a little,
you need like a little badge.
Yeah, you need
like
a little badge.
It says, nicest guy in 40K, now F off.
Yeah, you want to fight about it?
No, that is very kind. I don't agree with the testament. I think there's a lot of very nice people in this in this fantastic hobby we have.
Yeah, but you kind of like squeak out just in front of them.
It's not a race though. We're not. If this was a competition, I think I at least rank myself up there, but not.
If it was a competition, then I think Steve would have to find a way to get that number 1 spot.
As much tan as it takes for the cause.
Amazing.
It's so funny that he tans and I'm like that person with like all of the sunscreen in the morning. Like before I put my makeup on, I'm like a ghost. No tan.
It's all fake tan. It's none of it's real.
It's all spray.
Yeah. Well, sorry to like ruin the illusion. No, I remember when we went to the LGT. He'll probably kill me if I say this story, but equally, I don't really mind. But basically, when we went to the LGT, the London Grand Tournament in the UK, it was like probably like the first big super major since COVID.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but he got this like spray tan in the morning or the night before, and obviously like in the British weather is not like ideal, so it was September, but it was like lovely, like really warm, everything. And he had this hat
99% humidity.
Yeah, and he had this hat on like while we decided not to drive up, so we took the train and then we walked to where we were staying.
Yeah,
like got a load of the underground, so we're quite active. Anyway, we get to like the place and he takes his hat off and there's like this ring like around his head. There's like normal Steve, fake tan Steve, and he calls. We're staying in like a what do you call it? Like we call it an Airbnb. I don't know if it's basically like a big house share.
Same here. Yeah.
So I'm down in the kitchen waiting for the others, and all I hear is Jake, you need to come up here. And I was like, okay. And he was like, does it look bad? I'm like, what look bad? And then he's like, this. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, I think you should wear a hat for the whole event. I do love him to bits.
That was one of amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. That's why you that's why you come on to watch the show, everybody. The behind the scenes celeb hot takes of Jake Paparazzi over here telling us the sweet goodies.
There's been moments where like there was something. This is one I can't say about, but there was something that happened at an event in February, and basically it was all a bit funny. It's a very, very funny thing, but I can't say it because he's specifically told me never to say it. Right. And then, so the stream we do next, he goes, do not mention what happened at all. Like, do not even, and I said to him, I was like, okay, no problem. So then I, in my head, was like, do you know what would be really funny? To like, not mention it, but then be like, well, everybody had a great time, some a bit too much. And then so then the chat could be like, it's a bit of a joke. Anyway, so we go to do like the intro and stuff. I then say that. And then Steve goes, I thought we were not going to talk about that. Like, really seriously. So then the whole stream is then the chat trying to figure out what happened. So then, I didn't realise, but I look back on it and it's just like, for a good, 40 minutes, it's like, oh, do you think, maybe, do you think it was what was it drama? Was it something fun? It was very funny. Like, it wasn't drama. It was very funny, but I can't ever say that. That's, probably one for, the audio, not the audiobook, when he does his own autobiography.
The tell-all book, 100%. Well, that's really cool. So,
Out of
Jake,
the box.
For anybody who's watching, how did you get involved with Vanguard Tactics and the hobby in general?
It's all quite funny, how it all happened. It just sort of happened. So, the hobby-wise, I started playing when I was about 7 or 8, playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I still miss it to this day, but I'm very excited that Forge World seems to have taken that project on. And it may be, you may not see me in the 40k realm if fantasy takes off, because I absolutely love it. So I started doing that, and then I played fantasy, didn't really play anything else, so I wasn't really too interested. And then when Age of Sigmar happened, the first edition of Age of Sigmar, in my local scene, a lot of people stopped playing like AOS and fantasy and all that, and then went to 40k. So I was like, okay, well, obviously, naturally, like you do, I was like 17, 18. So I was like, obviously, I want to play what everyone else is playing because I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be a hanger on. So I then was like, okay, played. I bought some 40k. Didn't really play 40k because it was like in the midst of 7th edition where there was a lot going on and I couldn't really get my head around it. So I decided to play the Horus Heresy. Loved that. Loved doing that. And then 8th edition 40k came out and I loved the rule set. So I rebased all my fantasy demon army onto circle bases, played them in 40k, loved it. Anyway, we fast forward. I then ended up meeting. Steve's really local to me. We live about 30 minutes from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I met him at like a little tournament, and Joe, who used to do stuff with us, now doing stuff on the Liam Dempsey channel, and it's just started doing a commission painting service as well. He like, I knew him anyway, so he introduced me to Steve at this tournament. Me and him spoke for about like 30, 40 minutes over the lunch break. Sort of really got along. Didn't think anything more of it. We just like chatted. I was like, okay, cool. I've made a nice, like you do at tournaments, you make like a nice little, hobby friend. Anyway, like fast forward like a few weeks from that point, I get a message from Joe being like, do you fancy helping us out on our first like live stream? Because we need someone to work the deck. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I could do that. Like, it was only supposed to be like a one-off thing. It was only supposed to be for like the Ultramarine and Necron book that came out at the time for the start of 9th edition.
Yeah.
And then people just really liked it. So we just kept doing it. And then naturally, obviously I was, then they kept inviting me back for some reason. And then like we keep going. And then Joe obviously parts with VT just due to like work commitments on his part. Doesn't have as much time for it anymore. So then I sort of then move into like his role of like doing the presenting and stuff. And then it's just sort of stuck ever since. And it's been great. Like genuinely, it's been like the best time of my life so far. It's been amazing. I've loved it. I've been very, very honoured to get to meet like lots of people like yourselves and both yourselves and Katie and Maxine as well, like Tabletop Tactics Katie, and then also all the people from like all these different YouTube channels. I've been very like had a lot of pleasure to meet. So it's been amazing. I can't if I had to pick like the ideal situation to happen, it's all basically happened. So anything else is just a bonus,
That's fantastic. That sounds awesome. I love like origin stories like that. It's kind of cool. And if anybody in chat has any questions and stuff, we'll be reading questions. If you have any questions for Jake, make sure you throw them down, or for Tanya and myself. It kind of gets the conversation a-flowing. But Dr. Rhino does say, Jake for Sportsmanship Award for the World of 40K 2022.
I would vote for that. I'd vote for that.
I'd vote for that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the question?
No, you're just gonna get. You're gonna win the Sportsmanship Award for the whole year.
And the whole world.
Yeah, and the whole world. Yeah.
Nice.
That's.
Well, I didn't expect to win any awards while here.
Speech.
I thought I was just building models.
We need a speech.
Well, that was a shock. No, I think so what is really cool is like obviously the other thing about VT as well is I now am potentially getting the opportunity to go to the LVO
Nice.
in 2023, which is going to be I've always wanted to go to America. So like I'm really, 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 really looking forward to going to Vegas, especially for obviously like the biggest like the Warhammer tournament in the world. So basically everything I'm doing for the next like 9 months is just in prep for that, I guess. Like got nothing else on, so might as well go for it.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Are you planning on participating, or is it more just to help with like another one of the seminars, or what?
I will play. Obviously, I'm not sure. obviously how well I'll do. So I'd like to play. Obviously, I'll help with the seminars as well. Stephen, I'm not. I don't think I'm as natural as a teacher as the other like coachy people on Vanguard Tactics. I think we're very, very fortunate and blessed that we've got an array of extremely talented people at Vanguard Tactics doing coaching and stuff. And at least from that sort of world, that's not my strength, as it were. I think I'm getting better at playing the game and stuff. Obviously. But my enjoyment and the main thing is just meeting people and doing that. So maybe not teaching, but more so maybe just interacting with people. That's the dream. That's the dream. Just get to interact with some amazing people on the daily. That would be great.
I think sometimes at events like your seminars and stuff, there's some people who have social anxiety. So I think having an emotional support Jake there for those people would be very useful.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice going to tournaments in and around the UK, and it's very weird as well now when people come up and say oh, I watched the show and I've blah blah, they think really nice things, not blah blah blah. Because that's not just valuing anything they say, but it's just really nice. And it is. There are some people who are oh, it's my first event, and I'll normally just naturally from talking to them, if I bump into them again, I'll be how's it going? Are you enjoying yourself? And it's really nice because actually, I think a lot of that way, that's how you do make some really nice friends. I think the other cool thing about the group that we have in Vanguard Tactics now is also it does feel it's now just even more so than it was just a group of friends, because a lot of the people who have come on doing coaching or just playing or anything like that are all just people we've met at events and we've all got along really well with, and then we've been do you fancy doing some bits if you want to? If not, obviously you don't have to. Do you want to do you want to put yourself down on BCP and you can play, and we'll go we all go out for dinner and drinks, and it's just nice. It's a really nice social atmosphere.
Yeah,
which is great.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we got a Leo says, Skari, I'm just discovering all the amazing Canadian content around this hobby. I'm actually not far from you. Cool. Do you have any advice for finding a community in the Niagara or Hamilton region? There's a couple of communities for gaming. Black Knight Games runs games in Hamilton, and then you have the Wargaming Bunker, which is the mini Wargaming Bunker. They have a community of gamers, literally at mini Wargaming, but that's in Welland. And then you've got there's also Max Aggression Gaming that's in Niagara. And then there's also, and they run events and stuff. I think there's another store. I don't remember the name of the store. There's another store in St. Catharines as well. I just don't remember what the name is. But yeah, there's lots of different communities. There's a league, an Ontario 40K League that's been running. We're on our second season of the Ontario 40K League that's been happening. And if you want to get involved with that, there's a Discord and things like that as well for it, which is really cool. But, and I'm all the way in Barrie. But yeah, message me, if you message me on Facebook, I can, if you go to the SkaredCast Facebook page and just message me on there. I'm down in Welland every Tuesday and Wednesday, and a lot of times it's just through Facebook posts that you kind of know what things are happening when. But you have to kind of follow each individual store almost. There's not a conglomerated place to put everything. But I hope that helps you. Alistair says, if you had to choose one faction to play for the rest of 9th edition, I'm assuming this is for the panel, on pure fact of love for the army, what would you choose? Let's start with you.
Mine's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
For pure love of the faction, nothing for me beats Guard. However, I'm not playing 9th edition right now, so...
You're playing Age of Sigmar, because...
I'm playing Age of Sigmar.
You are a more mature person that likes a good game. like us that we're just children and we just like pew pews and zoom zooms.
I would like to play Age of Sigmar, I'm not going to lie.
Age of Sigmar is a really fun game.
Yeah.
So you may have your pew pews, but I have my stomp, 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 nom, nom, nom.
Oh yeah.
So
I absolutely love Age of Sigmar. It is such a fun game. And some of the craziest, closest games I've ever played have been Age of Sigmar games. Like, absolutely incredible how tactical that game can get. It's such a fun mental stimuli for me as a hobbyist and tactician.
I have my first sort of competitive Age of Sigmar game tomorrow.
Yeah.
And because up until this point, the entire group has been we're just in it for fun. We just want to play the models that we've painted, and it's been really, really fun. And I have a tournament coming up in June, and I just said to the group, I was like, hey, does anybody feel like they want to try? Because I need a bit of practice, because I'm basically playing the same list that I play because my faction isn't exactly overpowered. But I just I would like to see what it's like against somebody who's actually trying. So all I know is that there's going to be at least one bloodthirster in this list. So
just watch out
we'll
if it's
see
that
how it goes.
mortal wound bloodthirster. That guy's terrifying. I got introduced to that guy. He rolls a every 6 to wound.
Yeah.
Every enemy unit within 9 inches or 8 inches of this bloodthirster takes 4 mortal wounds. He only has 5 or 6 attacks, but if he rolls 2 6s to wound, every enemy unit within 8 takes 8 mortal wounds. It's and murder. And I was like, what the hell? And then if there's anything within 3, he gets to fight again. Instantly. So he fights twice. So unless he's just gonna... He was very, very scary when I fought him, okay? He was terrifying. Let's just say that.
That sounds mental.
It is mental. Nicole asks, who is your favorite Vanguard Tactics member?
Well, Nicole, it's probably no surprise that it's most likely you.
You heard it here first, folks.
And Steve is a close second, and Michael is a close second, and so Seb, and Chris actually he's a close second as well. And do you know who else is a close second? Jack and Ben and Tom and Kyle and everyone's a close second, but you sit above the rest. So
you heard it here first, folks. There are lots
of favoritism at Vanguard Tactics.
Yeah. There is no favoritism for second place, but there is favoritism for the first most likable person of the team, Nicole.
Yeah, we do. Me and Nicole are extremely similar. We are very, very similar people, so it is easy to get along. And obviously, Steve and me are quite similar, which is really funny in a way. Yeah.
Next, we'll see Jake running around with a spray tan. It'll be great fun. They'll be emulating each other.
And a hat.
Well, I have a hat normally. But yeah, spray tan and one of those Hulk Hogan muscle torsos, and then I'll just walk around.
I love it. Big belt on there too. That's exciting.
Yeah. That will be at the LVO. Why not?
Hey, maybe when you get the award for best sportsmanship of the year for the entirety of 40K, it's actually a wrestling belt.
That would be very cool. I'd like that.
I feel it would be a dove. Why a wrestling belt? That's I don't know. Does that really scream sportsmanship to you? That screams more like I beat the shit out of everybody.
It could be a dove wrestling belt, so it could just be a picture of a dove in a belt format. I think.
Ooh, I like the irony would be palpable. I like the irony in that. The irony would be good. I think.
I mean, it's just rule of cool, man.
Yeah, fine.
That's what we want here.
I guess most sportsmanship lovers do go by rule of cool with lots of things, so that makes sense. I agree with said statement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you
Diogo
go.
says, "Are you ready to throw down this weekend? Let's go!" Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, this weekend is the Can Hammer Team Tournament, which is the largest team event in Canada for Warhammer 40,000. It
Oh, wow.
is 24 5-person teams, or 24, 26 5-person teams. And we're all getting together this weekend to play I think it's 5 rounds of Warhammer 40,000. Is it 5 rounds? I think it's 5 rounds. 3 tomorrow and 2 on Sunday. Whoa. Anyway, let's just say it's a lot of 40k, and I'm going with the Stud or Scrub team, which is super exciting because we all like to pretend we're studs. And
Is Biff Pod going again?
they went as Charity Hammer last time.
Oh, okay.
I do not believe they made it this year because it literally sold out in like 20 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
And so
That is
anybody who
impressive.
wasn't like who didn't have their like any captain who didn't buy their ticket like instantly did not get to go. So
You know what?
there were a few Canadian teams that were like didn't make it even though they wanted to because they were like they just weren't on the ball when it came to like buying a ticket. And that was that. So
That's interesting because there's like a huge charity tournament out this way, and like I got the notification that tickets were live. I'm like, okay, Warhammer 40k, and then it was like instantly. It was like 20 seconds, and they were all sold out. And I was like,
yeah,
how does this happen? And then the next day I was like, well, maybe I could go for Age of Sigmar because for the first time ever they're doing Age of Sigmar, and I looked and it's like 1 ticket left, and I was like, bye. I don't know anybody there. It's going to be like my first time going to a tournament with like no support network whatsoever. And the only reason why I'm going alone is because like I have a lot of friends from Play on Tabletop that are like kind of like in the area. So I feel like if anything does go wrong or whatever, I've got like
you got some
like
moral support and stuff, which
I
is
got
good.
some backups. Yeah.
And it's nice. I think going to an event with like folks that you hang out with is probably, in my opinion, my favorite part of going to an event. You said that like the Vanguard Tactics team is sort of like naturally developed, Jake, from folks that have just hung out and vibe really well with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like can go to tournaments and stuff. And I think that's a great organic way of building a team and a crew.
100%.
I'm excited to see everybody. It's been a lot of these people I haven't seen in probably 2 years. You know what I mean? Like just quite literally has seen them online, have maybe chatted with them, maybe I think might have seen them at the Starter Snotling Major that happened in October of last year before like lockdown number 2, whatever, started happening. But all in all, it's going to be a good weekend. 5 rounds. And yeah, we already know who our first pairing is, so we've already gone through and done the planning on who we're going to be like pairing against whom and all this stuff. Like we've done our homework. It's gonna be super super exciting. I'm really excited about it.
I've only been to one tournament where I actually like had like people to go with, and it was like the most fun ever. And now none of those people are playing Warhammer, and I'm like, okay, it's literally just me now. So I'm just gonna play Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
Yeah, and everybody's like, team tournaments are the best way to play, and I'm like, yeah, but like,
Yeah,
there's not really anything around here.
I need a team, and we need to find an event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually how that
There's
goes.
actually a really cool event in Calgary, but then I don't know anybody who wants to go to a tournament. So
Are you talking
well,
40K
maybe I could
or
like
AOS?
AOS. Maybe I could just like a message and be like, "Does anybody need a +1?"
I would. I'd be like, I would.
Can make cookies.
Sonny, as soon as it's if you can go, I highly recommend it. It's super fun. Alistair says, for Age of Sigmar, I just did pick up 60 Daughters of Cain Witches and 30 Sisters of Slaughter. Built and based now. I have to paint them. Gonna be a good project. Yeah, Daughters of Cain is a fun Age of Sigmar army. You know what's really funny, Tanya?
What that?
Okay, you know how when I started, like when I coach someone or whatever, one of the biggest things I kind of like focus on is you have to sort of like play something that vibes with you, and the more you play with something that vibes with you, you're more likely to like retain information better and just generally do better, right?
Okay.
With that faction. And I have found it to be so real with Age of Sigmar of late. And I don't know if this relates to both you, Jake. I don't know how you feel about this, or you, Tanya, specifically. But I play, when it comes to Age of Sigmar, for example, I play Sylvaneth, which is not
Tree people.
considered to be a good Age of Sigmar faction. It's considered to be one of the weakest. Okay. And I play Hedonites of Slaanesh, which is
the weakest?
supposed to be like the weakest or one of the weakest factions. However, I play them and I have so much fun with these factions, and I've seen so much success with them on the tabletop because they just like I just play them and I understand how that army is supposed to, like, I don't know, I put it on the table and like every single piece meshes so well with each other when I'm playing with them. But then I play
Go ahead.
with my Daughters of Cain. Okay? Now, Daughters of Cain are actually considered one of the top armies in Age of Sigmar because of Marathi. Like, don't get me wrong, Marathi's pretty killy. But every single time I've played with Daughters of Cain, with the Marathi build, I feel like I'm losing the whole game. Like, I just does not vibe with me one bit. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Yep. I understand because that's how I feel about Space Wolves, because I love Space Wolves for the lore. They're one of my favorite factions, but I just cannot play them. But in my anecdotal observations, people are still winning AOS tournaments with bottom tier factions.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's why I like.
Yeah. So when was the last time you saw that anybody won a GT with Guard or Imperial Fists?
Not recently, Tanya.
Right. So isn't there something different about the game itself that kind of allows you to
the double
play?
Turn? I don't know.
Maybe it's the double turn. I don't think it is personally, but
no, I think in Age of Sigmar everything can kill everything. And I think that makes a big difference. Because there's no toughness value or anything like that. It's like your unit is inherently your unit, and it has its built-in hit and wound values or whatever within that unit specifically. And I think as well, mechanics such as the strategic redeploy is massively impactful in the game. Like if in 40k you could redeploy a unit for a command point, being after someone has moved, if they end their move within 9 inches of you, you can redeploy that unit d6 inches. That would be crazy. How massive that, how much of an impact that would make, because you could make charges longer and things like that, right? It's just it's crazy.
The reactionary abilities of Age of Sigmar, I think, are really dynamic and really make you feel like you have more agency in all sort of.
I would agree with that.
Like in all phases of the game, and I really really like that.
Sounds cool. I like that idea.
Jeff Brown says Battle for Salvation team is also this weekend. Where is the Battle for Salvation team event?
Isn't that in New York?
Is it?
I think Battle for Salvation is New York, isn't
Let's just say that we Canadians...
Not the city, but the state.
Yeah. I don't know where that is, Jeff. To be honest, it's been... You know what I found out yesterday? I went to set up and kind of I went up. I'm trying to be the adulting thing. I went up. I set up an RRSP, right, a retirement savings plan. I went to the bank, sat down, talked to the financial advisor, got all that set up because I'm trying to be an adult finally. And And, and then I give them my driver's license, and my driver's license has been expired since January, okay? And I've literally been driving, like, back and forth for, like, mini wargaming and stuff, and I was like, just none the wiser. Literally, health card expired, driver's license expired. Why? Because I've literally been sitting at home for 2 years. Like,
And time has no meaning.
and time has no meaning. Because you're when you get it renewed in Canada, at least it's got 5 year, like it's every 5 years you renew it or whatever. And so I looked at it, I was like, what the heck? And I'm supposed to rent a car today to go to like Ottawa, and I need a driver's license. So luckily it was early enough in the day that I was able to like spin around to go to the like Service Ontario place. Literally walked in, no line. Was in and out of there within 5 minutes with like my temporary driver's license. I was like, oh my gosh, that was like, oh,
Got a
I was so
horseshoe up
happy.
your butt.
Woo! Anyway, let's just say I was very pleased that I was able to fix that before I had to drive.
The likelihood
and
of
travel.
being able to walk into any government building in Canada and not have a lineup. What?
Oh yeah, it was great. I literally it was like 3 p.m. I like walked in. I was like one person in front of me. They went to one of the tills. There was 3 people working the tills, and I was in there. She was really friendly, super happy. Paid for
that
it.
That also doesn't
picture.
Happen.
Boom, done. That was it. I was done, and I walked out of there, and I was yes, okay, I can legally drive now. Fantastic. Antonio says, "Hey, pretty people. Hey, Antonio from Deep Games
Antonio.
Spain. ¿Cómo están? Un saludo. Hello, see you at Talavera, Skari. Yes, I am planning on going to Talavera. I need to get a team together to go, though. If not, I'll just be going to hang out. I'm visiting my family in Spain, which will be really exciting. That should be later in the year.
You have to, find a team still, but you've already committed to a team tournament?
Yep. Either that, or I might be, picked up by one of the teams. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yes,
a
I'm
ringer.
Very, very excited. Yeah. I'll be a mercenary, like a true pirate, which will be great. You have a spot on our team. Okay, perfect. There you go. See? Boom. Done. I'm playing for Deep Game Spain.
Amazing.
That's it. You heard it here first, folks.
I love the guys at Deep
I
Game.
know. Cool. Okay.
They're so
bueno,
amazing.
estoy en su equipo. Entonces, mándenme el WhatsApp o algo para poder organizar lo que sea. Y nos vemos ahí. Signed. Excellent. They have appropriated me. I love it. That was quick. That was a quick transaction in live. Max Wolf says, I'm starting my first crusade this weekend. So excited to get my Death Watch back out. That's fantastic, Max Wolf. Jake, have you played any crusade at all?
I've never ever played Crusade, but it does look. I don't have time. I don't have time. But it does look really fun. Liam Dempsey, who's a good friend, always says he always really enjoys it. I like the idea of the whole building, up the all your units are super unique, and then you've got all these different things that happen, and obviously in the new books and stuff they all update to that as well, so they all got all the armies feel properly unique, which is cool. Yeah, and maybe something we have to give a go.
I will say Crusade is after team events, team tournaments or whatever, Crusade is my next favorite way to play 40k. I've been doing my Drukhari Crusade. I've played 13 games with them so far. With my I've done a little series called the Rise of a Cabal series, and I've had so much fun building my Crusade. Although my Archon, oh my gosh, my Archon. So there's this mechanic. The Crusade mechanic for Dark Eldar in Crusade is when you gain these, they're called raid spoil points. You get raid spoils basically, and you can then use those raid spoil points to essentially capture and build an empire in Comora, the Dark City. And then as you get all these different territories, when you get groups of territories together, they give you bonuses when you play games. right? So you can have like if you have 3 like incubi shrines, you can then when you take incubi to your real space raid, they get like additional experience at the end of the game because it's like all sort of like, you know, matched together or whatever.
Okay.
And however, because taking those territories in the Dark City is perilous, you have to roll to see if your warlord, like your Archon or your Succubus or whoever you're building an empire with, takes battle scars as people try to literally assassinate them as they build this empire. So my Archon has died 50% of the time. He dies in a game because that's, you know, he's in the front of the fighting. And he has 4 battle scars. So he's limp in a leg, blind in one eye. He doesn't have power from pain anymore. And literally has had all those 4 battle scars from taking territories. It is like the funniest thing. He's like, so they've tried to assassinate him so many times. Ridiculous.
That's
so
wild.
Yeah.
I think like the thing is right with me is like the narrative, like that sort of stuff is all like I like I think there's 2 types of people who like when they do the narrative-y stuff. They've got that like the very hardcore ones who know all of the narrative and are like, you can't have a chapter master and Calgar because that's not like, you know, your ultra. You can't have a chapter master that isn't Calgar on your Ultramarines because that's like sin. And then you have like people like me when it comes to the narrative who are all like, say, like, do you remember Muscle Beach?
Yeah.
The list.
Yeah.
Right. So
for anybody who doesn't know, that's a Genes to the Cult build that was all aberrants.
Yeah. So we basically used that on Wednesday, as because I was like, that's what I'm taking to this event on the weekend because I really like aberrants in the like with all the changes and the balances updates and stuff. So we came up with like a little narrative that basically have you ever watched Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
Right, you know the episode where Hank has got like he takes like his kid to this park, and then like there's just a bunch of people like working out like proper bodybuilders. It's a very obscure episode, right? But basically, like I just imagine that as this. So my patriarch has just got all these people like these very muscly gene stealers to go with him and to go find fake tan. So like so the biophagus is like when he does his action, instead of like injecting them, he's just like tanning them up. When they all go for like R&D, it's like retrieving tanned data. And then we've got like, and they like all go, and then like and everybody joined in on it. So that's like my narrative is that like I don't know anything about the narrative, but if I can just have my fake tanned aberrants, then I've won that game. I don't care.
Are you gonna paint them up like they're fake tanned?
So the worst bit is that some of them are like super pale and some of them are super tanned. So hang on. Give me 2 seconds. They're literally in the other room. Hang on.
Amazing. Bro, it sounds like I love it when folks kind of like build like a little narrative for your own like army and stuff, and it kind of like creates some sort of really cool sort of like, you know, thought process and stuff there.
Right. So that's like. So these are some of like the. Obviously, you can see they're quite pale. And then we've got like.
Totally different.
And it didn't happen. And the thing is that so I didn't paint these. I'm not going to take the credit at all for these. So this one was done by Joe from old Vanguard Tactics days, and this was done by another commissioned painter. Which I for the life of me, it sounds really bad. I can't remember their name right now, but I'll make sure to mention it. And obviously, so they did them in 2 different schemes. So also it helps on the battlefield because one of them has their geo augment, which is what the proper name of it is called. Before the game, they don't have to do the action. So this unit is already pre-tan. They don't need any more tan. And this unit needs the tan. So that is how we differentiate. And if you want to play at the level that Vanguard Tactics does, you need more fake tan in your armies with these 2 little chaps. So there we go.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
That is
Jeff
40k.
Brown says, I miss it when Skari made us write fluff for the Berry Bash. Mine was always the best. I can't wait to have the Berry Bash back. It'd probably start off as a smaller event again, maybe just like a small size GT instead of like a full major, and just kind of get the legs back to it. You know, to be honest, I have to see about basically procuring terrain and stuff again, right? Because a lot of the times I literally had to borrow event and tables and stuff. But I wanted to get back to it. But yes, soft scores were part of my event, and that included submitting a story and lore of your army and getting points for that for best overall. Didn't affect generalship. So, you know, the big four events are best overall, best sportsmanship, best generalship, and then best painting, which would be more like a showmanship award instead of like a painting. Not like specifically painting, it'd be more like a player's choice award, essentially. I can't wait to do that again, Jeff. That would be, I love that.
I like that idea.
I used to ask for fluff, and I was like, please submit fluff for your army, until somebody literally gave me fluff in a bag. And I was like, okay, I need to describe this a little better. So
I'll just link the episode of Malcolm in the Middle on a piece of paper, like a URL of him, and then just be like, that's
the story. Yeah.
That's the story. Yeah, no, I like that idea. Because obviously, like, where I also do help with some of the DZ stuff, like, I did actually go. Like, I didn't play, but I went to like one of their narrative events they did. So it's quite. If you're in the UK, you've probably heard of them, and it's very mental. like they had like all these people fighting. There was like all these stories. Every round they would have like a new story that they would like, you know, to progress the narrative that you're fighting over. And then on a table there was like all these different models. You had like a Thunderhawk, a Warhound, a Knight, a Stomper, you know, all these different things. And they would be like, during the games, you can call like basically for help, and then they'll be like, okay, well, here's the, you know, like Warhound Titan, like, and stuff. And I quite liked that idea. So I think that should happen at events. I think that would be very cool. Be like, top table, round 5. It's not going very well. like bring in the Warhound. like wheels it over on like a big dinner tray.
It actually would be kind of cool at like the bottom tables, I think. You know, like people who are in the extremely fun bracket, to like allow them to have access to like a Warhound Titan.
It's funny when we
like one shot.
When we've done something similar like that when we do the Mike Mudd Memorial Tournament historically. Because it's a fundraiser for the animal shelter. We've essentially allowed people to like just purchase rerolls.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah, so like depending on how deep your wallet was, you know, it's just all for charity, right? So like you could like purchase rerolls. I think you could purchase. There was one year where you could purchase orbital bombardments and stuff, and you literally have like an orbital bombardment fall on your opponent's like army or whatever. Although I think we limited that to like once per game, just so that somebody didn't drop like $1,000 on like one table to like just like automatically win that game and be like, and bombs everywhere or whatever it was. So
but I equally like that idea. I think that these are all very good ideas that we all need now. It's very cool. I like that sort of stuff when you hear about it, especially obviously for a good cause as well.
Yeah, we had Mike Mudd. Mike Mudd was a good friend of ours who passed away in a car accident about, I think, 12 or 13 years ago now. And so ever since then, we've just done a tournament in his name to raise money for the local animal shelter. And over the last 10 years, I think we've raised like 20 grand or something at least. $20,000 for, or is it? Yeah, I don't remember the exact number, but it's been a decent amount of money that we've raised for the local animal shelter in his name. And every year we get his parents to come down and hand out the awards, which is really cool. And it's like this big shield, and you get your name etched on the shield. And it's called the Mike Mudd Memorial Tournament. And
That's awesome.
and it tends to be, and it's back on this year, so I'm really, really excited it's back on this year. It's fantastic. After like 12 years, I finally got my name on the shield. Like, took so long. Anyway, but I finally did it. Which was really,
That is
really
the
cool.
goal.
Yeah, and it tends to be like a very like fun event in the sense that it's like we play Highlander lists, and usually we've like made up our own missions and stuff, and it's like very like just low key, you know, like not supposed to be super competitive, very sportsmanship based.
Oh,
And so I can't wait to do that again this year. It'll be super fun. So
that does sound really nice.
it's like one of my favorite events to do every year. Jeff Brown says Bash was the best. Nurgle Snurgle says Gene Stealer Steves.
Yeah, they're all little Steves here.
Oh, little Steves.
Yeah.
Jeff Brown says, Jake, get with the modern time and make a QR code that links to the YouTube scene.
Make a QR code on myself. I get it tattooed on my forehead.
So put it just hand in a QR code that links to the scene that you're talking about from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, that would actually be, if I had the painting ability, I could just like get them all painted on their little heads. No, I could do that. Just be like, here you go, the exact scene I'm talking about. It's basically like the whole episode, but the one scene is just where Hank's like in front of them all, and they're all just like marching towards him, and he turns around, he's like, no, you need to stay here, and then they like all keep following him. They're like lost dogs. It's amazing. It's such an amazing episode, and this is the embodiment of them. This is what they gave us. Fantastic show. Yeah.
I'm doing some freehand on the Space Marines. That's what I'm doing today. Freehand on these shoulder pads. Got that one. Got this one done. Little Maltese cross on there. You know, I don't like doing decals, so I've gotten good at just freehanding Space Marine symbols. Chris Coles says, Leon Dempsey has now got a Vindicare assassin on the table, and chat get the super chat to shoot a unit of their choice off either army. That's fantastic.
I have heard about this, about Roger. I think his name is the Vindicator, and I do like that idea. It is very fun.
The thing is, it is a slippery slope when you kind of start doing stuff like that. Depends on how like serious you want to be with like a stream. I know that for a fact because with like I've done mini wargaming. You know, we do streams every Wednesday usually, right? And there's been a couple of times where they've gone crazy and been like, yeah, so super chats let the players switch armies or whatever, and it's like, so you're like constantly switching armies with like your opponent, or you know,
that
like,
sounds mad.
oh, it was absolutely crazy. And you know, to the point where like it happened every time it reached like a certain threshold, which got really nuts because it would reach like a threshold of like, you know, super chats, and as soon as that threshold got reached, they made a switch. So it was like you could plan it so that just before you had to switch, if it was like the movement phase of your not to be your army soon, you could like advance with everyone so that none of those units did anything. It was really funny. We had so much fun just randomly just messing with each other.
I've never had like that. I made the mistake once of basically putting. I think the biggest thing I'll say to anybody if they ever go on a live stream is don't say what I did, which is going where the chat was. Say we were talking about like something, and then it came up with the topic of singing, and they were all like, "Oh, how much do we have to pay for you to sing?" And I was like, oh, £100 thinking no one would do it, and then like literally like 2 people did it, and I was like, oh, why? Why have
if
I
you
done this?
give a money value to have someone make you do something online,
they'll do it.
Someone will do it. Just to make you do it.
Yeah.
I learned that by we used to do on the show. We used to have me sing and dance Baby
I
Shark.
think your mic's muted, Tanya, because I can't hear you. I can see your mouth move, but sorry.
I can't hear Tanya either. Hopefully we can get that sorted soon.
How about now?
There we go.
Yeah,
Now that
fine.
works.
Yeah, I saw your mouth move, and then I was like, "What?"
So we did a charity thing where I played a game with Jamie from the Red Path, and we had it so like people could buy stratagems from any codex to apply to our armies.
That sounds quite mental.
It was
was
absolutely
crazy.
insane. Yeah. But we raised a lot of money.
But that's the
So-
important bit. As long
yeah.
as you do that.
Man, Jamie was such a trooper. Poor Karn, his head exploded.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
They
that was an
literally-
orc stratagem.
I think one of my favorites was a Hell Talon, like a Chaos Hell Talon, having to use the Burner Bomber stratagem of self-exploding, like suicide Burner Bomber stratagem, on like turn 1. That kind of set the tone for like the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I should do
is
that
pretty
again.
decent.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love that.
Is anybody even playing on Tabletop Simulator anymore?
Oh yes, there's like a whole
Yeah.
community of people who only
There's a
play on
massive-
Tabletop Simulator and have never owned or painted or built a single miniature. And they've literally been playing for 2 years, and all they play is Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of our VT community love it, and I know a lot of people do like all stuff on it. I can't get it to work. The only time I ever used it was, bless him, one of the academy guys was trying to show me, and I ended up like flipping the table without even like, I literally just pressed the wrong button and the whole thing just went, and I was like, I don't think this is for me because I have no idea what's going on. So,
Antonio
Yeah.
wants to know if they can name the model you are painting right now.
Me?
Oh, Jake's
Oh.
Genius of the Cult model that he's painting right now.
oh, I'm not painting anything. You can name this one if you want. You can name non-tanned.
Pasty
person.
Paul.
Pasty Paul and Steve.
That's a decent name, Pasty
Steve.
Paul.
And Steve. So yeah. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Well, if you name them, I'll write it down and then I'll refer to them as that as well. That's the commitment we have here to the cause.
Can we name him Valrak?
So we name him Valrak. I think the thing is, to be fair to Pasty Paul, he's quite a good looking chap. And he also doesn't have a big boot. Oh no, he does have a big boot. Oh. Like Valrak's boot. Oh. Yeah, we could name him Valrak if you want. I'll take name suggestions. Do you know what? One of them will be called Valrak anyway, just because I like that so much. I'll pick a different one though.
I like it. History is
He is-
being made as we speak.
Valrak is me and him do. He's in my fantasy football league actually. That's like a very weird like thing.
Is that by coincidence, or like did one of you invite the other in?
Oh no, we were just because me and him we haven't chatted for a while just because we've been quite busy, but me and him did chat quite a lot, and then like I put it on Twitter randomly like who wants to be in my fantasy football league, and he was just like yeah I'll be in there. So I want the ideal one to get like YouTube like Premier League fantasy football league going. At the moment, it's sitting very strong with just me and him. So,
I see. I would join, but I'd be like, I don't know anything about sports ball.
all you have
Just
to
like
do,
roll dice.
just roll dice to pick the players you want in there, and then watch as you win it because they'll all be like really good. So,
Love it. Oh, 2 more shoulder pads to go. Boy, oh boy. I'd forgotten how much fun it is to once Black Templars are some sexy-looking Space Marines, I'll say that.
they are the coolest.
By the way, if you're just tuning in, hi everybody, this is Just Put Paint on It. Welcome to the show. If you haven't clicked that like button, why haven't you yet? And other than that, we're just having a good time, chatting, painting, and hanging out with Jake from Vanguard Tactics. who does things with Vanguard tactics and is painting tan machines.
Yeah. Little Steve.
Little teensy tan monsters.
Little tan monsters.
That's right.
Who are great. I love these models so much, and I'm so glad I get to use like 20 of them. So
They're back, baby. They're actually like,
yeah,
I really like
they're
Aberrants
well
now
good.
again. They're like still expensive for what you get, but like they're so much better than they were, if you ask me.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I used them for the first time ever. I managed to beat Tao yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
with my Gene Stealer Cult, and I have to say these 20 guys put in an absolute shift. Just like went in there, managed to kill a crisis blob between them, which is still mad to think that drones tanked like a million of them. And then they just took so much firepower with putting the Augment on them for the 5-up Feel No Pain roll. And yeah, I think they're great. I think they're so useful. You are right; they are very, very expensive. So the rest of the list is basically just things to do the mission with. But no, I love them. I think I definitely think they at least one unit of them need to be in a cult list now, just because they hit so hard.
They're also quite tanky.
Yeah, 3 wounds, toughness 5, and they reduce damage by 1 as well. So like, and then when you put the Feel No Pain on them, it just makes them like 3 damage goes to 2. All you need to do is like, even if you fail both of them, you'll tank another hit. If for some reason they're 4 damage, you roll 3 5-up, or at least 1 5-up. He's tanked 1. Like I think my friend Phil had a Storm Surge with a Pulse Driver Cannon, and over the course of the game, that Pulse Driver Cannon killed like 2 Aberrants because they were just like, no,
we refuse to die.
Yeah, which I love it.
That's fantastic. I love it when units like that, kind of do what you expect them to do. You're like, yes, they do this, and they look cool, and they feel good, you know what I mean?
It's like
self-rewarding. I have a question for you, Jake.
Okay.
What was your faction in fantasy battles?
Oh, isn't that a Pandora's box? So my first ever faction was Night Goblins.
Nice.
Which I loved. I loved them because I had the Battle of Skull Pass, so it had like dwarfs in as well. So then I played dwarfs for quite a while, I'd say. Then I played ogres. That was like then the main. If I had to denote like what was the main point of me realizing that the hobby is basically going to become my life, was when I started playing Ogre Kingdoms.
Same.
I've still got them all like somewhere in my mum's in the house, my mum's house somewhere, like upstairs. I think if I dig it round enough, that is the Lead Belchers. Oh yeah, very magnifique. I do love them. They're so cool. And then like I delved away. Like I still have my ogre army. They're like one of those model collections I'll just never ever like get rid of. They'll just sit in a box. I'll never do anything with them. They'll just sit there, and I'll have all the fond memories. And then I had like Skaven and Dark Elves, and Dark Elves then was like the next thing I moved on to that was like quite big, and then
Dark Elves
Skaven.
were no joke when they were around.
Yeah.
Especially in 8th edition. Whew.
Yeah, they were very tasty. And yeah, it was just like I had all sorts of armies. I loved fantasy so much. So when it obviously all changed, like I wasn't one of those people that were like burning my armies because I'm not mental, but like I definitely wasn't like I was like all I wanted was like this rank and file. And I think like then in my like when obviously everybody then started playing 40k, I was like, okay, well, obviously I don't want to be like I don't want to have no one to play, so I played 40k. But I've still dabbled in Age of Sigmar. I still love it. I think the game is like you were saying earlier. I think it's fantastic. I think the models are amazing. Like they genuinely, in my opinion, the best models VW do. Period. Obviously, unless like something amazing comes out for 40k, I don't know if I will ever change that sentiment. Maybe the dwarfs that come out for 40k, which will be my main army for like all the rest of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like that's the main thing. Like, I love all the AOS models. We have an AOS army at the studio. Steve has a oh god, what are they called? Lumineth
Realm Lords,
I think.
of course.
Yeah, he's got he has a Sigvold as well, like just a single Sigvold. So
The chaps
um,
man, eh?
yeah, he is cool as well. I'll always again.
He's
like
also
Sigvold
one of the
from
best.
Fantasy.
He kills things. I love it. Anyway,
He,
continue.
that's what I want him to do. I don't want him taking a stupidity check whenever he looks at himself in his shield. I want him killing people.
Age of Sigmar
So,
wise, he is awesome.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, that makes me happy hearing that my boy is now all grown up. So,
Oh, he is scary with especially the new model. Scary. Doesn't stare at his shield anymore. Just goes around murdering things.
good.
That's what
He doesn't need to know how beautiful he is. He already knows he's
He
handsome.
already knows
That's all
he's
we need.
gorgeous. Yeah, exactly.
It's all about backing yourself.
Oh, that's so funny. Was that like a fantasy rule of his?
Yep.
Yeah, so he had to stupidity was basically you took a leadership check. If you fail it, you move forward D6 inches and you can't do anything else. And if you pass it, you can do whatever you want. But his stupidity check, lore wise, was because he keeps whenever he sees a reflection of himself, he may just stare at himself.
Yeah, he's so vain. He's just in love with himself, right? So he just sits there and stares.
And I was just this is the best. I always used to, because I read I did read the novel that came out when they did they do Black Library do ones for the Primarchs where they all do a book just about them, and they started doing that with fantasy about some of the characters, and one of them was Sigvold, and I remember reading it.
The Magnificent.
And there's just so many moments where he's like, "Oh, hello you," and I'm like, "Oh god, Sigvold, come on, focus!" A whole page of you staring yourself is not thrilling content. So,
sounds
amazing.
Fantastic. That would be very Slaneshi, just. Yeah,
it definitely fit the narrative, but yeah.
That's funny. Antonio says, haha. Leo says, did you end up taking a couple of Hydras with your Dark Elves?
Oh yeah, well the old Hydra model, yeah, I had a few of those. I probably still got them as well. There's so much stuff I probably still have for fantasy. I had a big clear out a few years ago, of just armies and stuff during COVID and stuff. Just
some of that
got rid of
stuff
a few.
Is worth a pretty penny.
Oh yeah, the biggest feels bad story I have about fantasy is I had a brand new inbox, never opened, never even looked at Bretonnian army.
Ah, no.
Never touched, right? Never done anything with it, right? So obviously me being okay, well, fantasy's not really the thing anymore. I'm just gonna get rid of it, So one of my best friends was oh, my dad's getting into it, and I was like, oh, okay. And he's he loves the Bretonnians and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got this massive army here, because you're a really good friend, you can have it for not very much. So anyway, do the transaction, blah blah blah. Next day, I wake up, look at Bretonnians' last chance to buy. That's it. They're not going to be around anymore. And I was like, if I just kept that army for a day, a week, even. Then I would have that army would be worth gold dust. Yeah, it's alright. He still uses them now, bless him. He still has them all. So that's nice to know that he still has them all. That's it doesn't
they
feel
found
as
a
bad.
good home,
Yeah, but there's that part of you where you're damn it, why?
I think there's quite a few. I would say quite a few hobbyists out there that can relate to them, giving away an army or selling an army and then regretting it for a very, very long time.
Oh yeah.
I think not a. That's a feeling that I've felt that feeling before. So I know how it feels, man. I can relate.
And then you have to do the walk of shame back to the hobby shop as you buy that box that you had And they're like, didn't you get rid of that? And you're like, yes.
Yes, I did.
And you're like, you take my. Well, not many people use cash anymore. You take my contactless trials transaction, and we speak no more of this. And then you walk and you leave, like nothing happened. I've done that like so many times.
I love that I have like a few factions that I absolutely love, and like nothing else really tempts me, because it means that I don't ever feel like I need to sell stuff. The only stuff I ever sold was my Chaos Space Marine army, which was like my first army, because I didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
So I don't regret that, but I think that I would regret if I sold like any of my other things.
Yeah. I think, luckily, most of the time, Steve ends up buying the stuff I don't want off me, so it ends up like staying in the group. So like our Tyranid army that we've got is my old army. Like I didn't paint any of it because we got it repainted, and that is a very cute dog. And so like the Nid army we have is my old one, so we got that painted by somebody. But like that army, like I didn't want to get rid of, but he was like, oh well. I'll buy it off you and then I'll get it commission painted and you can just use it whenever. And I was like, that sounds like a fantastic idea. And we're definitely doing that. And then the Cult army is probably another one as well. I've fallen in love with the Gene Sealer Cult. And then the Emperor's Children I love as well. They're like probably one of my favourites. And when the Dwarfs come out, that's when it's like...
Squads, baby.
Yeah.
They're back. I'm so excited to see them back.
I'm so excited. Like, I'm like, I said, we're just so ready. Like, I am just like waiting now. I think it's going to be a while. Like, obviously, like they said, obviously from the community articles, but when that day comes, it will be a good day. I'm saying
glorious.
Yeah, it will be like everything I've worked for, like in my life, will now culminate into this one. Like dwarf art, and if it's just like, even if it's just like not that much, even if they just start as like the Admech did, where they didn't have a lot, that's all I'd need. It could have one unit. I'd take all of that unit. So, it'd be amazing.
That does make sense. You know what I like? I love the fact that like squats sort of like pull 40k back into like, I don't know, like cool sci-fi, like fantasy sci-fi. Like it's kind of neat, you know what I mean? Like I like it. It's cool. It's like I feel like it's a piece that's been missing from 40k for a very long time. Not that I like, you know, and I'll say this right now, but squats weren't like had already been squatted by the time I started playing the game. So
that was a sad day. I think like from the point of view, probably from Games Workshop potentially, maybe also like when they do squats, people now finally can, one, shut up, but two, they then can do like a proper new army. Like, it's never, because if you know, like all the armies they're doing are like ones that like Admech obviously, and then they had Sisters of Battle, and then squats are like the last one, and then they can be like, right, we found more, like, and then like. Or unless they do like the old Zotes and stuff, because that would be cool.
Well, they put the Zotes in Blackstone Fortress, right? So they've got the archivist or whatever who's an old Zote, and he's in Blackstone Fortress. You can use him in 40k too because he has rules. But
I didn't say that.
Yeah,
you can take him off then.
It's cool. Well, they have a Zote mod. Like you can use a Zote. Like he's like an unaligned like librarian, basically, is what like the story is. And by the way, I love Blackstone Fortress because they put a whole bunch of cool characters in there that have been really neat. But yeah, it's exciting to see what happens. Well, we are coming towards the end of the show here, Jake. This has been really fun chatting with you and having you back on. But before we finish up, why don't you tell everybody at home who's watching, once again, if they missed it, you know, where you're from, how they can find you, and if you have any projects coming up that people can keep track of and look forward to.
Yeah, so obviously I'm Jake from Vanguard Tactics on YouTube, so obviously you can go check that out. We do like 40k battle. We do live streams every Wednesday UK time at 7 p.m. Along with obviously much other content, such as obviously when we get like stuff. We also have an academy, but the doors for that are shut at the moment, and a reopening in July. So if you want to be on the waiting list for that for any reason, you can do that. And yeah, we've got some cool stuff coming up. Obviously, lots of games on the live streams, and maybe some other projects I can't really talk about. So you'll have to follow, and then when that happens, you'll be able to see it. But it's all very exciting, and obviously, massive thank you for both of you for having me back on, because I do love getting to come and do this. I loved it the first time. I was shocked when you asked me the second time, and I was flabbergasted that you wanted me back for a third time. So, as I said, it means the world to me. So, thank you very much for having me.
Anytime. Anytime. I'll make sure I put some links in the description / the chat and stuff.
Of the little tan people.
Yeah. Little tan
and
people.
Steve thanks you very much as well.
There you go. Steve the Aberrant.
Are you going to put like a little VT logo on, Steve?
You should.
Oh, that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
I should do it on all of them, really, like on their chest.
It's like a tattoo.
Like a really bad, like one of those, like stereotypical like mum tattoos. Like yeah.
Because you know that they're flexing their pecs like every chance they get.
Yeah, exactly.
Bouncing the pecs before they do a dice roll.
They do it the way their father intended.
That's right. Oh, that's funny. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Jake. It's been really fun. For anybody,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. Tanya, why don't you remind people where folks can find you and what you might have coming up the pipeline?
Well, you can find me on my own YouTube channel, which new stuff is coming out next week. You can also find me on Instagram and Forge the Narrative Podcast. And probably this Sunday, my Patreon is going to go live. So if you would like to support me, you will be able to find me on Patreon as well.
That's amazing. I love it. I know I'm going to hop on, so I'm excited about that.
I love that I give you money, and then you're just going to give me money, and everything balances
rising tide
out.
Raises little ships. You know what? Support the people who you appreciate. Okay, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it goes a long way. Whether it's $1, whether it's $5, whether it's $100, whatever it is. Like it literally goes so like it means a lot. Not the amount, but like just the show of support is like
the fact
really
that anybody
the
would.
the most.
Yeah, the fact that anybody would be willing to like give me $1 even is like I can't even imagine it happening, but yeah,
it goes
would
such
be
a long way. Like anybody who is like who knows anyone who does content or has a little business or does stuff like that, like just showing them support by buying a bar of soap if they're making soap, or by buying dice if they're making dice, or getting a T-shirt that they designed, or a little Etsy like dream catcher or something that they made, like arts and crafts wise. Like it goes such a long way to support the people around you. So it's it's the least I can do, because it's because I appreciate what you do, Tanya, as well. So
Aww.
Other than that, I'm Skari. If you like what I do, go support both of these wonderful people. I also do have a Patreon set up if it's something you'd like to do. The links are down in the description and all that good stuff. I also have dice and a whole bunch of stuff. But other than that, I appreciate all of you watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And I painted some Black Templars, which I'm going to unleash on John the Cron at some point, and it'll be fabulous. I'm going to have so much fun murdering a bunch of Necrons with plasma death. It'll be great. Getting to use that armor of contempt. Other than that, thanks a lot for hanging out, everybody. I've been Skari. This has been Tanya. This has been Jake. Hanging out with you all. And I will catch you on the flip side. And don't forget to hashtag...
Just put paint on it.
There you go. See, third time's a charm, right? Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.